if you're going through that really hard time, if you hold on, things turn out better, but it's not a predetermined future.
Right.
Like, because there's such a range, even if, because some people, they're so afraid, they're like, leaving if I'm gay, I'm going to leave the church, and if I leave the church, then what's going to happen to me? I'm going to become a prostitute, coke addict, blah, 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 blah. So,
however, there is, like, the mainstream gayness, too, that is a whole new aspect. That even, I have a 14-year-old relative, we're kind of like second cousins once removed or something, that wants to be a dancer and live in New York and stuff, and he's been kind of emailing me and chatting with me online. And I found it really interesting because I know how his family is really fearful of him speaking to me because they know I'm out, and even though they like me and I'm part of the family, but it's still that element of we don't want him to talk to him because we know that Eddie's gay, and they definitely know that their son is gay too. But it's been an interesting thing where he tries to ask me questions and he has come out to me. And it's sad because it's totally me, 100% at 14. He wants to dance, he wants to perform, he wants to do other stuff, and he keeps telling me it's so hard to have someone living the life that you want to live on the other side of the computer, and I have to limit what I say to him because I know that it can really cause tensions within the family.
Right.
You know.
Right.
But it's interesting to have that 14-year-old perspective again, where you're kind of that anger comes out in you. You know, like the young gay Mormon anger comes out, where even his parents are saying, "Wow, he's a really angry kid." But it reminds me of me, you know, when I was 14, 15. You're trying so hard to be good. I know I had an older brother who was really, really a rough kid. He was pretty big hellion, and he caused a lot of problems. And so I tried to be really good, you know, and I tried to put on the image of being really good. But there was always this hidden anger, young, knowing that I was gay. And I'd also come out of a weird relationship from the time I was 10 till I was 12. I was involved in an intimate, not necessarily a sexual relationship, but it was very much a relationship, and a very intimate relationship with a man who was 28. I was 10 and he was 28, and that went on for 3 years.
And it was like platonic, but more than that.
No, it wasn't even platonic.
It was physical?
Yep. It was a very, we were never naked together. He never actually touched me. But we made out. He taught me how to kiss.
Really?
Yep. We would spend nights together. I mean, he was a clogging teacher of mine. And
oh my God.
And he would have parties for all the boys and the thing, and I was like the chosen boy, and I'd get to sleep in his bed and not have to sleep on the couch with the sleeping bags. And whenever we went on clogging trips or clogging competitions, I got to stay with him, and you know, and it was.
How do you think that was able to happen?
I think my parents' naivety. I mean, it was even me. Like, it just kind of gradually happened. Like as I started clogging in Preston, Idaho, and then started getting too good for the little place that was there, I moved to a bigger studio up over in Utah. And he was my teacher, and and it's weird to think back now and think, was I really more advanced than the other boys, or was he just more interested in me? Because he did start keeping me after, start teaching me the more advanced routines, and that went on for a full year, and then I got into the junior company, and so we started rehearsing. You know, I started seeing him a lot more. He wasn't my teacher anymore, but you know, there was the adult company and the junior company, and we like.
How do you look back on that time? Have you ever had like anxious? I mean. Yeah, is it anxious moments? Is it anxiety? Is it hate? Is it love? Is it...
Oh my God, it's been everything. Well, I mean, that ended when I was 12. He's in jail now.
Oh and, my God. For
Child abuse, sex abuse, pedophilia. He's in prison
was there any relation to that and to what happened to you?
It was all investigated. I had to get interviewed by the police when I was 12. I don't know if it was the police station or the sheriff's office, but they did I came in 3 times and did 3 videotaped interviews and had to describe everything from the detail of what print was on my pajamas to what the sheets looked like just, you know. And that all went into file, I guess, and he got off then. And I knew this guy pretty, I didn't find all this stuff out till later, but he got off that time, but we continued to kind of have this weird, I hated him because I was supposed to hate him, but I was torn, you know, because I had spent 3 years and we wrote love letters back and forth, and it finally got to the point where my parents were like, we don't know about this, it's not right, and there was lots of questioning going on, and then I don't know exactly how it got turned into the police, but it did. And then when I was 15, we even ended up hooking up when I was 15.
Oh my God. Was that
and he was about to get married in the temple to a woman who had been married before and had 3 children of her own. And we carried on kind of a... do you feel like that was kind of a... What was that for you? Why do you think you did that? You know, I really was in love with this man, but at that point in time, it was almost the forbidden fruit, you know, it was almost, but I still had such emotions for him, and it was like I was in this relationship with him for 3 years, and then it ended, and I was told what a terrible, awful person he was, but he had done worse things to other boys than me. We had a very intimate and very loving and caring relationship, even though I still view it as an abusive relationship, because it really did affect me, and even though we weren't sexual, it actually ended right when I bet in the next few months it would have gone to a sexual level, you know, because it had been 3 years and it was escalating, so it ended at a good time, but because I think it ended so quickly and abruptly that when I had the opportunity to talk to him again, it was, I remember I'd get in trouble because I'd call his house. We lived in Idaho, he lived in Utah, and I'd call his house, and as soon as it'd answer, I'd hang up. And I looked on the phone bill one day, and I didn't see his number on there, so I thought, oh, if you don't stay, you don't get charged. So I kept doing it, probably 20 to 40 times a day, just to hear him say hello, you know? And he'd start saying things like, stop calling me, who is this, who is it? I mean, this was before, star 69, before caller ID. And we got a phone bill once, and my mother was like, I need to talk to you. And it was just hundreds of phone calls to the same number just for 1 minute. And then even from the church house, our...
Oh my God.
our ward church house, I had made a couple phone calls, and the bishop had talked to my mother, and I denied that I had made those phone calls. I was like, oh, it must have been somebody else who was in our clogging group in the ward too. So that went on for years, and it's only been the past few years actually that it's kind of really gotten out of my system. It bothered me for a while, because when I was 15 till I was about 17, we still were involved, and that's when it went sexual. You know, when I was 15, we had we met up just to talk, you know, but we met up at a Maverick parking lot, and then talked for hours, and he showed me pictures of his fiance and all this stuff, and then we ended up driving down the street and making out, and you know, and that was my first sexual encounter with him, you know. And then that happened every once in a while over the next few years. And he'd tell his bishop every time he'd do it. They still allowed him to get married in the temple. And then I think he got put on probation here and there. Every time. We probably messed around 4 times after that. You know, from 15 to 17. that I can remember.